Right now, in the inner Melbourne suburb of Abbotsford, a battle is unfolding that should serve as a stark warning to every property owner and community across Australia. What starts as a localized zoning or development dispute can quickly set a dangerous precedent for national heritage sites and established residential areas nationwide. At the heart of this controversy is the Abbotsford Convent, a cherished National Heritage listed precinct. Currently, a major health organisation has submitted a proposal to demolish an existing aged care facility on Clark Street, directly within the heritage Rint. In its place, they plan to construct a story luxury apartment complex specifically targeting the over 55 demographic. This development proposes 64 high-end apartments, complete with penthouses and an underground parking facility for 69 vehicles. While the promise of luxury senior living might sound appealing on paper, the sheer scale of this proposed development is generating immense community outrage. The new structure would stand twice as tall as the original building, completely overwhelming and overshadowing the historic convent architecture. This is not just a debate about sightlines. It is a fundamental clash between aggressive modern property development and the preservation of irreplaceable cultural assets. You might be wondering why a development dispute in Melbourne matters to you if you live in Sydney, Brisbane or regional Australia. The answer is precedent. If a developer can successfully push through a massive, out-of-scale luxury complex on a national heritage listed site, the regulatory floodgates could open in your suburb next. Even if you are not in this specific area, the underlying pressures driving this proposal are being felt nationwide. Developers are increasingly targeting established, high-value suburbs, often testing the limits of local planning laws and heritage protections. According to recent data, inner-city suburbs with heritage overlays often command significant property premiums, making them highly lucrative targets for multi-density developments. Market analysts note that when one major heritage protection falls, the surrounding property values and community infrastructure can face sudden, unpredictable shifts. What we are witnessing in Abbotsford is just the tip of the spear. We need to look closely at what this means for your property rights and neighbourhood character as we dive deeper into the forces driving this trend. To understand the gravity of this situation, we must look at the history of the site and the vibrant community it currently sustains. The Abbotsford Convent is not merely a collection of old buildings. It is a thriving cultural precinct that hosts active art studios, major music festivals, and countless community events year-round. The proposed four-story luxury complex threatens to cast a literal and metaphorical shadow over these activities, fundamentally altering the character of a space relied upon by thousands. The potential disruption to this cultural hub has mobilized local residents, but the implications run much deeper than temporary construction noise. The Chief Executive Officer of the Abbotsford Convent Foundation, Justine Hyde, recently issued a stark warning that resonates with long-time property owners who value neighborhood integrity. She reminded the public that 21 years ago, the community endured a grueling 7-year battle simply to save the convent from being demolished by developers. Now, 2 decades later, they are facing the very real threat of history repeating itself. This cyclical pressure from developers to encroach upon protected land is a warning sign. It demonstrates that a heritage listing is not always a permanent shield against aggressive commercial interests. Adding to the severity of this case is a recent and highly concerning ruling. The Heritage Council of Victoria formally determined that if this land is developed as proposed, archaeological heritage of national significance will be severely and irreversibly damaged. We are not just talking about altering a skyline. We are talking about the permanent destruction of history buried beneath the soil. When an official heritage body issues a warning of irreversible damage and a massive development proposal continues to push forward anyway, every homeowner should take notice. This raises a critical question about the strength of the planning laws designed to protect your neighborhood. If state-recognized archaeological sites can be targeted for luxury apartments, What protections truly exist for the character of your own suburb? As we examine the localized data and broader state implications, the vulnerability of established communities becomes increasingly clear. Let us look closely at the numbers driving this aggressive push, because the data reveals a quiet, highly profitable shift in how developers view your neighborhood. To understand why a major health organization would risk immense public backlash over the Abbotsford Convent, we have to follow the financial incentives. According to recent data, inner-city median house prices in established suburbs have consistently outperformed broader market averages. This intense price growth creates immense pressure on every available square meter of land to deliver maximum commercial yield. Market analysts note that when local property values cross certain thresholds, the financial return of a multi-story luxury complex easily outweighs the perceived risks of community opposition or heritage constraints. In Victoria alone, early indicators suggest a severe mismatch between the supply of premium downsizer properties and the growing demand from affluent retirees. The proposed 64 luxury apartments, complete with underground parking and penthouses, are precision-targeted to capitalize on this exact demographic shift. However, this financial formula is not restricted to one state. Across Australia, we are seeing a concerning pattern emerge where developers are actively targeting institutional, medical and heritage-listed land. Because these large parcels are often situated in premium locations, they are viewed as underutilized assets rather than protected community spaces. If the Abbotsford Convent development is approved, it establishes a very clear, very lucrative blueprint. Even if you do not reside in Victoria, the financial mechanics remain the same in Sydney, Perth and Adelaide. A successful approval here sends a powerful signal to the national property market that state heritage protections can be negotiated, compromised or simply built over. This directly alters the risk profile for every homeowner living near a school, church or historic site. As we map out this nationwide trend, the true cost to everyday property owners becomes alarmingly clear. This localized clash in Melbourne is rapidly morphing into a blueprint for developers from coast to coast. Across Australia, we are seeing a calculated strategy where the promise of senior living is used as a wedge to break through established zoning laws. The Abbotsford Convent proposal specifically targets the over 55 demographic, a tactic that often forces local councils to view massive luxury developments through the lens of providing essential community housing. This is a critical pivot point for every property owner to understand. When developers package high-density, profit-driven apartments as necessary aged care, standard heritage and density rules are frequently bypassed or severely watered down. This strategy is highly effective, and it is quietly spreading. According to recent data tracking property rezoning applications, there is a sharp national increase in developers purchasing institutional land, such as old hospitals, schools and church grounds nestled deep within quiet residential areas. These parcels are then earmarked for aggressive, multi-level apartment blocks that fundamentally and permanently alter the streetscape. The mechanism used in Victoria today is the exact same mechanism that could be deployed in your quiet, leafy suburb tomorrow. Market analysts note that state planning departments are under immense pressure to deliver housing targets, often leading them to override local council objections. If the Heritage Council of Victoria's stark warning about irreversible archaeological damage is ignored for a luxury apartment block, the message sent to developers nationwide is loud and clear. It signals that no site is truly sacred and no suburb is safe from sudden, high-density transformation. The implications of this national trend extend far beyond losing a nice view or a historic building. It directly impacts the core financial stability and living standards of existing homeowners. When massive complexes are dropped into established neighborhoods, local infrastructure is immediately pushed past its breaking point. As we examine the direct financial fallout for everyday homeowners, the true cost of these luxury developments becomes impossible to ignore. For property owners and local investors, the sudden arrival of a massive, Out-of-scale development right on your doorstep fundamentally alters your financial reality. When a structure like the proposed 4-story complex at the Abbotsford Convent replaces a low-impact, aged care home, the immediate shockwave hits the surrounding streets. Suddenly you have 64 new households, along with staff and visitors, funneling into roads and infrastructure that were never designed for such heavy capacity. This is not just a temporary inconvenience. It is a permanent degradation of the local amenity that directly underpins the value of your family home. According to recent data, established suburbs derive much of their premium property pricing from their quiet character, historical charm, and accessible street parking. When a developer successfully bypasses heritage protections to drop a high-density luxury block into these exact streets, that premium is severely threatened. Market analysts note that while the new luxury apartments themselves may sell for top dollar, the surrounding heritage homes often experience a chilling effect. Potential buyers become hesitant to invest in an area where local zoning laws have proven to be flexible and where major heritage sites can be aggressively redeveloped. Even if you are not in this suburb, the financial mechanics at play here directly impact your investment strategy. If you purchased a property believing the nearby historic convent school or hospital grounds were permanently protected green space, this Abbotsford case proves that assumption is highly vulnerable. Developers are actively hunting for these exact parcels across the country. They understand that overriding local concerns is often just a necessary business expense. This leaves everyday homeowners bearing the long-term costs. You are left dealing with the increased traffic, the overstretched local services, and the permanent shadow cast over your neighborhood. The quiet enjoyment of your property, which is a fundamental right of ownership, is permanently compromised to facilitate commercial profit. As we look toward the future and the regulatory battles ahead, the true risks for Australian property owners become even more pronounced. Looking ahead, the resolution of this Abbotsford Convent battle will set a defining precedent for property rights and heritage protection across Australia. If the state planning authorities approve the demolition of the aged care facility to make way for a 4-story luxury complex on a National Heritage listed site, the rule book for developers fundamentally changes. This creates a severe forward risk for every established community. Market analysts note that a green light here will signal an open season on institutional and heritage land, accelerating the push for high-density projects in previously protected residential zones. The risk is no longer just about losing local history. The true danger lies in the sudden, state-sanctioned erosion of the zoning laws that maintain your neighborhood character and your property value. We are facing a future where community opposition and even explicit warnings from official heritage councils can be completely sidelined by aggressive commercial interests. If a 21-year legacy of community protection can be dismantled for 64 luxury apartments, it is clear that no suburb is truly insulated from this pressure. As developers continue to test these boundaries nationwide, property owners must remain vigilant and deeply engaged with their local planning processes. The outcome in Victoria will ripple across every state, potentially altering the landscape of Australian homeownership for the next decade. Even if you are not in this suburb, the planning shifts happening today will dictate the value and livability of your neighborhood tomorrow. I want to pass this over to you now. If a developer proposed a massive luxury complex on a protected heritage site at the end of your street, how confident are you that your local council would actually stop it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.